Hello, my name is Richard Connors, and welcome to this edition of Roundabout Town. Today my guest is a master craftsman, Peter Soltz. Peter, welcome.
Nice to be here.
Peter is an associate member of the Norfolk Council on Aging, and he's also the host of the Norfolk Woodworkers Club, which meets at the Norfolk Senior Center once a month. Peter, look at all this display. How did you ever get involved in doing all of this?
It all stems back to probably when I was 5 or 6 years old and would go over to my grandparents' one-room apartment in Brookline. My grandfather had a toolbox, you know, a screwdriver, a pair of pliers, a couple other things, and I'd make a beeline for the closet and this toolbox, and I got interested in tools to some degree. Now, we certainly wasn't cutting any wood in this apartment.
No, I can
but
imagine.
That started my love of tools and all. And in, I think it was 1966, I had won some money in a sales contest, and I bought my first tool, which was a radial arm saw. And some of the things I made back in those days were pretty crude, but I also found out that when you make something and give it to somebody, they don't know how crude it is. You see the mistakes, they don't. They love it. So, you know, I acquired other equipment. I, kind of being self-taught, improved a bit on what I did to the point where, especially when we moved to Norfolk 19 years ago, and I had a fairly good size basement to expand my tools, so to speak. You know, I started acquiring more tools and started acquiring a little bit more knowledge and skill, and I subscribed to a lot of magazines. Magazines have plans, you start making things, and you enjoy it.
So did you have a tutor, somebody that showed you how, or did you do it from the plans?
Mainly from the plans, and there are, of course, the shows on TV, and now more than there were, you know, I think in the old days there was just Norm Abrams' Yankee Woodshop, which were quite good, you know, to follow along, even though the things that he typically built were way beyond most people's skill levels, but you know, you see something better than what you do, you ascribe and try and do it. And so I got somewhere up the scale, so to speak. You know,
sure.
Not to his level, but and one of the nice things about doing something like this is that I was in the kitchen cabinet and counter, you know, retail kitchen and bath business. And you're just working with concepts and nothing concrete, so to speak.
Sure.
You know, I design kitchens, I buy the stuff, somebody else would put it in, but, you know, I wasn't making the cabinets or anything like that. You get out in your shop and you start cutting wood, and sooner or later you get something nice you can hold on to and show and so forth. And over the years, it's been a lot of fun. Now being retired, having sold the business last May, I can make an awful lot of sawdust in a day.
Now, does your wife get involved in any of this?
No, she stays two floors away.
Sounds like my wife. No, I have no talent in this area, so I am just astounded that you could put all of this together. It's just an amazing feat.
Just a fraction of what I've done over the years, from
you
know, the tiniest little things to one project one project I did with a friend of mine years ago was 200 feet of Lewis Wharf in Boston. He had a boat, a 51-foot catch, that they were going to throw them out because they needed the space. So he made a deal for something like 2 years dockage if he made some new floats. So I think we made 8 big floats, and I didn't know he was doing it, but I went to his shop one day and he had this 8-inch saw that he was going to start cutting these 2x12s by 15 or 16-foot boards with. I said, wait a minute.
Something's wrong with this picture.
This is going to take you several years. And I brought my radial arm saw down and we started doing it. And he bought the styrofoam blocks and the galvanized hardware and so forth. And we put these things together. We had to rent a flatbed to get them down there, or a backhoe to drop them in the water and so forth. But
what a project.
you know, and I've got pictures, a picture of it I can show you.
Speaking
later.
of pictures, you had a display over at the Norfolk Library,
Yes.
and you've taken some pictures, and we're going to show those as part of this presentation, and the Katie Woodhams will edit that right in for us.
Yep.
That was a beautiful display, many, many favorable comments.
I've made 9 of these different construction toys. I make 2 of each, one for my grandson, who's now 7, and one for me, who's more than 7. Now these all come from plans that one gets from Wood Magazine, and they give you great detailed plans with cutting diagrams, step-by-step instructions, and you buy things like the wheels and the axles and so forth. But everything else you make from flat stalks of wood. You build this up. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3/4-inch pieces of maple here, and you have to shape it and cut it, and et cetera, et cetera. All of these are done with maple and dark walnut.
Is that your favorite wood to work with?
I don't know that I have a favorite, really. I like seeing what comes out of
Sure. The
each
grain.
piece and the grain
Yeah,
and
grain
so
is
forth,
beautiful.
especially when you put a finish on it. It's amazing what can pop out of what looks like an ordinary dull board.
Did you ever calculate, say, like one of these, how long did it took you?
Well, again, I make 2 at a time, so it
All
cuts
right, well,
down
yeah.
the actual time, because as opposed to doing 1 at a time, okay? Because you make 2 of these and 2 of these
Yeah.
at the same time, and pick the better one for him, for my grandson. But there could be 30 hours or more into one of these. The first day that all this display was at the library, in the lobby of the library, somebody saw my name, looked me up in the phone book, called, I want to buy some of those.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
And I said, I don't mean to insult you, ma'am, but you ain't got enough money to pay me for the time I put into these things.
This is a work of love.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't get rid of any of these.
No, I'm sure you wouldn't.
No.
And your grandson would not part with his either. So.
No, he's been, I think he was probably either 3 or 4 when he got the first one. He's 7 now. He still plays with them.
Kid, he must
And
be
then at some point, when he doesn't want to play with them, I'll make some shelves. They'll go up on the wall of his room as
Sure.
decoration.
Yeah, isn't that great, huh?
Yeah.
What's the toughest wood you ever worked with?
Well, this goes back to my days of working here, but lignum vitae is something that's about the hottest wood going, and a lot of times they make shop mallets out of it. Now this isn't lignum vitae. This is again the same maple and walnut, and I just made this out of scraps.
You did, huh?
Yeah, and actually I just hang it in the shop for decoration, because I've got another one shaped like this without all the detail that I use for banging things. I'm not going to use this for banging things.
Now, where do you get your wood?
There's a wonderful place over in Stoughton, Downs and Reeder. There are several places in Cambridge. We now have a wonderful woodworking store on Route 1 in South Walpole, Woodcraft Supply, which is a national concern, great for all kinds of tooling and supplies, and they also have all kinds of woods there. But a lot of this that you see here, I bought from, I think it's called Steve Wall Incorporated, maybe in Georgia. You know, they have ads in most of the magazines on the internet. And I bought 2 of what they call project packs, which are random lengths and widths of these different materials. You buy either a walnut or a cherry or a maple or oak or whatever. They're very reasonably priced, and I was astounded at how good the wood was. I expected I was going to have to cut around and get rid of this knot and that crack, and this stuff is wonderful, wonderful wood.
So you buy the wheels, you said, separately, and the
buy the wheels
axles?
And the axles and things like these. Although I'd be able to turn these on my lathe, but they come as a very reasonable package to do.
So you not only build these larger units, I see you have some pens in your case there that
This
you make?
this past, I think it was September, I took a course at this Woodcraft Supply one night on how to make pens. And it is not a difficult thing to do for somebody who either has a lathe or wants to make a small investment, a few $100s, for the equipment you need to make these. And you buy different type of kits, whether it's for a ballpoint pen, a fountain pen, a rollerball pen, and whether it's chrome, gold, gunmetal. You can get them with stylus on the top for use on tablets and pads and so forth. And you prepare this wood by cutting it, drilling it, putting a tube in it, squaring the ends, put it on the lathe, turn it to whatever shape you want, finishing it, and then assembling it. And I've given away probably 30 or 40 of these
I'm
now.
a recipient of one, yes.
And
Beautiful.
people
Writes really
just
well,
love them.
feels good.
Just love them. Now, the same technique and size and so forth is you can make things like razors for shaving and the stand that goes on. I've made a couple of those, and bottle stoppers, which make great gifts as well. You can make candlesticks and pepper and salt mills and seam rippers, perfume bottles, pill bottles, all kinds of stuff. And this doesn't take a lot of time, and you can do it out of scrap wood. I forget which one, but one of these pens came from a ratty, chipped, cracked piece of a pallet.
Wow.
And when you cut the right piece out and turn it, it comes out looking pretty good.
I guess so, because those are beautiful.
You don't have to spend tons of money. Now, the other day I did buy 2 blocks of wood that are just 3/4 by 3/4 by 5 inches for $10. Okay, but the figure in that wood, when it gets into one of these, is going to look phenomenal.
Going to be something,
Yeah,
huh?
and you can also make any of these kind of things out of all kinds of acrylics,
Oh, really?
like corian and other plastics and so forth.
Is that something you've tried? Or?
Not yet.
No.
No, I haven't tried any of those yet. But
You
they make
really,
phenomenal
you must be
gifts.
very popular
Yeah.
at Christmas time.
These things like the razors.
Yeah.
Okay? You go into some of the department stores like a Nordstrom's or a Neiman Marcus or something, and in the men's department, if they're selling
I've
those
seen
things,
Big
they're
bucks.
$150, $250.
Big bucks, yeah. Big bucks.
I'm going to make some of those for the Home for Little Wanderers Voices and Visions Gala silent auction come this
wow.
May. It's an outfit that I'm involved in. And, we'll come up with some good money auctioning
for
those
their
off.
cause, yes, I know the outfit, yes. So, in an average day, excuse me, how many hours do you spend down cellar working on these? Or is it you do a lot and then you stop and then you go back? Or
I don't have a schedule where I get down there every day. I wasn't down there yesterday at all. But some days I could be down there 6 hours, 8 hours.
Once you get started on a project, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now, how does, as I asked you before we came on the show, how do you get from a piece of wood to one of these?
Okay. This is an item that I've made a number of over the years. They make great gifts, although these rolling pins never get used for rolling.
Yes.
They're either a decoration, or a weapon for the wife.
Yes.
Okay. And the question, of course, is how do you get these parabolas out of pieces of wood? Okay? Typically, you make this out of scrap wood. And I brought some pieces along to kind of show you how this is done. What I do is I take all kinds of scrap pieces of wood and I glue them together. Now, these are not contiguous pieces, but you can kind of get the idea.
Yeah.
So I make a block that's maybe, this long, this wide, this high.
Oh yeah, you can see on the ends the various pieces.
So then I take a template and on a small angle, slight angle, I put this across here, mark it out, and then I cut these out on the bandsaw, which gives you a billet like so.
Ah.
You then take that and put it on the lathe and start turning it. So you get it to the size, and my next step will then be to turn the ends and cut it loose and finish it. And then, of course, I make a hanger
For it,
to put it on. But out of junk leftover pieces.
Not bad. And the same thing with some of these bowls, or is that cut out of a one piece?
This came out of a crotch of a tree that I was given. And this is what's called a natural edge bowl. You cut this in a diameter. Now this particular crotch was pretty green wood. It may have been cut, that week. Okay. So I took it home, and especially once you cut out a circle, it starts cracking. So that thing may have started out about this big around, but I had to get that down to this size to the point where there wasn't any cracking left over. And this isn't finished yet because this is where the jaws hold on to this thing as you turn it and gouge out the inside. Okay? And a little more work, and this will be just a nice little piece.
It's impressive.
Yeah. And this is another piece. Now this came out of a bigger piece. This is a knitting bowl I made for my wife for the holidays.
Oh, isn't that pretty inside, huh? Boy, look at the grains. Amazing.
And after you finish turning it, you drill 3 holes, one of which you saw out a slot so that you can put the yarn in here. And then the bowl holds the ball of yarn so it doesn't run all over the room while the knitting is going on. And then you got a place here to store the 2 needles. Right? That was a piece of ash. By the way, I brought this along that I found in the basement. Before I got into my business of in the kitchen cabinet business and all, we were at a Chinese restaurant, and the fortune cookie said, "Your hobby will become a moneymaker."
Very good, very good.
Sometimes they actually have a fortune.
That's true. So all of these others are certainly workable. This crane operation is.
Oh yeah, this this turns this lower the bucket,
Ah,
the gumball machine.
now and out comes the gumball. Now these machines, these are from your design book or from your experience?
Well, these here all come from the plans from Wood Magazine. And you can buy a book with these plans. You can just get the magazines and do them and all. This a friend of mine at Longview Farm from Home for Little Wanderers, the woodshop teacher, had made one, so I quickly copied the idea and put this together.
That is terrific.
This I saw, I think, in a magazine, this little puzzle. And the question is, of course, how does the cube get inside?
Yes.
Well, it doesn't come from the outside. What happens is you take what's called a Forstner bit, which is a big round bit, and you keep drilling in from the 6 different sides till this cube is just hanging there by a thread, and you take an X-Acto knife, cut it loose, and you've got a puzzle that nobody figures out.
We wanted to talk about your program over at the Senior Center.
Yes.
How is that going? You've had one meeting so far?
We had one meeting. We got some good publicity from one of the fellows, Tom Mirabelli.
Yes, oh, he's great.
And we ended up with 7 of us there, half of which weren't even from Norfolk. And we just spent the couple hours talking about the kind of things we do in woodworking. And there were accomplished woodworkers. There was a fellow there who did all kinds of carvings of birds and whales and the like, to others who just like to be around tools.
Sure.
And I think at this point would like to get involved, a little more involved in some sort of woodworking. And since the initial meeting, 4 other people, including 3 women, have expressed an interest in coming to the next meeting, which is going to be next Wednesday, the 12th. And I hope this airs before the 12th.
Wow.
At 10 o'clock at the Senior Center. One of the things, hopefully, if we have enough time, I plan to run a DVD on a fellow by the name of Sam Maloof. Sam Maloof was a master craftsman who passed away about 3 years ago, lived in California, and made these most fantastic rocking chairs that were out of walnut, very free-formed and all. And I remember years ago when I first learned of him, I looked it up and to see about getting one of these rocking chairs. And I think at the time they were like $2,300 a piece.
Yeah.
And I was probably making $1,000 a month, so a week. So no, maybe a month.
Maybe a month. I've been there.
So that was way out of my thing. And finally, when I had some success, I went to see what they were going for, and it was $52,000 a piece.
Wow.
And now that he's passed, they're worth an awful lot more.
Is this something you'd be interested in making?
I hope to do that. I was
kidding.
given a present a couple of years ago how to make a Maloof-style rocking chair.
Wow.
And there's a DVD, a book, and the full-size patterns to do it. And the more I look at it, the more I say,
tempting,
hey,
huh?
I may be able to do this.
From the looks of these,
Yeah,
I
well,
think you very well could.
Yeah,
I think you very well could.
it's on my bucket list.
So this group, Woodworkers Group, will be meeting at the Senior Center February, March, or as long as you...
Yeah, as long as we have interest in it.
There's no
And we're
actual
looking-
tools there.
No.
I just want
No.
to understand that. We
Right,
don't have
we're not
tools.
doing any projects, although I'm sure various members are going to get together with other members and at their shops do something. After the first meeting, 3 of the fellows came over to my shop to see what I was about, And
I'm sure you've encouraged them by virtue of what they.
I was talking to my accountant 2 days ago, and I gave him one of the pens. I always wanted to make pens. He said, come on
It's
over.
catching, huh?
Come on over. I'll show you how
Well,
to
sounds
do
like
it.
it's going to grow, and of
Yeah,
course,
I would think so.
and that's you don't have to be a senior.
No, you
And of
just
course,
have to
obviously,
have
then
some
you-
sort of an interest in woodworking.
Sure.
That's all.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've pretty well covered what we wanted to talk about. Unless there's something else you'd like to
No.
say,
No.
Peter, we really appreciate you carrying all this, bringing it, and most of all, making it, because this is for a guy like me who can't handle a screwdriver. This is really, really impressive.
Your wife calls an ambulance to stand by when you pick up a screwdriver.
It's true. It's true. You think it's a joke, but it is not.
I know people like that. They need me in the neighborhood.
My brother lived down the street, and he always said to me, "Don't start any projects. Call me first, because I only have to undo what you did." So,
Yeah.
but boy, with these are very, very impressive. We appreciate you coming. We also want to thank the folks here at NCTV. We're in their studio. They provided us time to show this and to set all this up, run the TV for us. And once again, they've always been there when we've asked them to do us any kind of a favor or show. So thank you, Peter.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Goodbye.